Calling the meeting to order. My favorite little thing. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and the Express Times, and submitted to the town clerk of the town of Belvidere on January 7th, 2019. Rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was hard. Okay.
Mr. Blum?
Yeah, roll call.
And I would do let the
Lupino?
kids do their presentation
Mrs.
first
Costantino?
before you go into
Okay.
public
Dr.
session.
Zuppeth?
Here?
Mrs. Duckworth? Here. Mr. Labar?
Here.
Mr. Lucas? Here. Mrs. Powell? Here. Mrs. Scott? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Steffen?
Here.
Mrs. Williams? Here.
Okay, before we go into public participation, the BES cast of The Wizard of Oz is here, so we're going to let them do their thing first, and then we'll go on with our meeting.
Hi, our names are Andrew, and I play Tin Man.
I'm Skylar and I play Scarecrow. I'm Maggie and I play Dorothy. I'm Riley and I play Glinda. I'm Smart and I play Ryan. I'm Kaylee and I play Toto.
And we are some of the actors in the upcoming performance of The Wizard of Oz, Young Performers Edition. We would like to thank you for letting us perform for you tonight.
We would also like to thank you for supporting the arts in the elementary school. Tonight you will get to see some of our spring musical, but our drama club does even more throughout the year. We put on 3 shows, a fall drama, a spring musical, and a variety show at the end of the school year with the high school. We appreciate all these opportunities for us to develop our talents, learn new skills on and off the stage, and have fun. This Kermit even claims it has a positive impact on us in the classroom. Please sit back and enjoy a little chunk of our show. You can catch the full show March 13th at 7 p.m. and March 14th at 3:30 p.m.
I'm gentle as a lizard.
I'd be clever as a gizzard. If the wizard is a wizard who will serve, then it's sure to get a brain,
A heart.
a home, the nerve. All the overgrowth?
All the
It's okay. Great job, guys. That was good.
Very good.
All right, so we'll get back to our agenda, which would be public participation. Anybody have anything for public participation? Judy? Sorry.
Go ahead, you want to go first? Be my guest.
Sure. Soften them up for you. Don Mitchell, Belvidere Town Council. I have two questions and a request, actually, for the board. First question is, the town's going to start some repaving projects, and want to know if the board was interested in receiving the millings to possibly fix the track, if that was possible. You can
We'll look into
let
it.
us
We'll
know.
look into that, yeah.
What was it? I'm sorry, I
The
didn't.
millings to fix the
Millings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Second question is, we discussed at our town council meeting that we used to years ago have junior council members from the school, so we'd be interested in revisiting that if we could.
It's on my list, Don.
Perfect. And the third is a request. We are on March 9th introducing the town budget. We will be, we'll have a tax decrease in it. So my request is if the board could see their way to also have a decrease to ease the tax burden on our taxpayers. Okay? You're all over that one too, right?
Yeah, I got that.
Excellent.
I got all over not happening. That's okay. Okay. Judy?
Anybody else? Yeah, sure.
She's gonna be around. Hi, Joe Roth from Town Council. Just a couple of questions. I saw on the agenda that there's a field trip for the music students, and I was just remember a few months ago you were talking about music teachers, and there were some issues as to whether they keep it full-time and go part-time or whatever. Could you comment on that? Or do we now have a full-time music teacher?
We have two. We have one that focuses on instrumental and one that focuses on choir.
Oh, good. And how many students?
That's both of those.
Oh, that's good.
No doubt on that. How many students?
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, Joe. I can certainly find out, but
Oh, that's good.
probably about 150 to 175 between them.
Thank you. And my second question is on, later in the agenda, item number 9, approved budget line transfers. In the agenda, it says as attached, there is nothing attached.
The attachment goes in the packet to the board members.
Well, we don't see it. Or could we see it, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, it's not a problem to see it.
I don't have the packet.
I don't have my packet either.
Who's got a packet?
I have mine online, not a hard copy
Once
of
it's
it.
posted, when the minutes are posted, we put it on as the attachment.
Oh, okay, it'll
It
be
just
on there when
hasn't-
it's posted.
It hasn't made it yet into, I don't, like the copies here that we hand out at the meeting. We haven't thought about it, but we can think about putting them on there as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
So a hand back there?
Hi everyone, I'm Tara Mori. I'm the president of the Booster Club for football. I'm here with the other executive members. We have two things we would like to discuss with you. One is the guys need new uniforms. We haven't gotten new uniforms in 6 years. We actually will not have enough this season for all the players. So that was first and foremost a request for funding for that. Second of all, we want to talk about the issue of the press box. Last season, we did not have a press box at all. We would like to see where we need to go with that. We have had offers of licensed, fully insured contractors to volunteer their time and supplies. I'm not sure the protocol or, what we need to do to go forward with that.
Comment on that?
Yeah, Shelley, didn't we talked about that, right? The license?
We've done quite a bit of research on it as a committee. Where we're currently at is working on getting a platform in place that is done through the architect so that it's structurally sound to house either a stick-built press box or a pre-built, because we won't be able to put in the budget right away, to put an entire pre-built system up. They were giving us prices of $150,000. But we're trying to get at least a platform that we can have certified for the right wait. We had to first do soil samples, which were done about a week ago. As soon as we get that report, then they'll be able to start giving us the quotes on the platform. Once we have a platform, then if we do have volunteers that are, like you said, contractors
Licensed
that meet
bleacher,
the right
right.
specifications that can do schoolwork,
Right.
that would be amazing if you would supply us with the information.
Sure.
We would love to look into that more.
What's it take to be a schoolwork?
Well, there's several qualifications that have to be met. It just depends how it's gonna be done, as far as how we would get the supplies and how much time they would volunteer. And the way that the press box was built now, I think was just completely volunteers, and that's where we had the problem with the stability, and that's why it's been condemned at this point, just because the foundation is not okay anymore. So we're trying to make sure at least the foundation is set and structured and improved. That will help us, because this would have stairs and railings, and that way if you're just stick building the top, or at least you'd be able to put a tent or something in that place temporarily,
Right.
as opposed to using the bleachers.
Yeah.
We still don't have a full price on just what that's gonna cost,
Okay.
probably few weeks away yet.
Okay.
If you want to set up a time where
I would love
we can
that.
sit.
Yeah, because I have like architects,
Yeah.
people that could draw blueprints, all of that.
That would be awesome. We'll
So
add you
anything
to
to
our committee. Right now, it's
expedite.
been the operations chief, myself, the athletic director,
Okay.
have all met on that with the architect that we currently use at the school. But if you have more information, sounds great.
Fantastic.
So if you want to email one of us, we'll set that up, and then we can sit and talk and go through a lot of those questions, and we can see what kind of answers we can get.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Somebody else back there?
Oh, we'll just leave it at that. I can talk pretty loud. I'm Carolyn Sorbonne, and I'm the president of the Belvidere Elementary PTO. We're revitalizing the PTO for the elementary school. We just started last month, so we have a lot to do, and we probably won't get a lot of projects done for the rest of this year. But I did want to give you an update, and so we are in a little bit of a jam. We have very limited funds. We haven't done our taxes in quite some time, so I'm getting all of that cleaned up and situated, but we think we'll end up with in the account, if we're lucky, maybe $200. So our main concern is we've got a couple things that we can do that won't cost us any money, but we need to understand how the insurance works. We did reach out to the town, and they said they do not cover the PTO with a rider, so any kind of guidance there would be great, because we obviously have zero funds to cover insurance, so nobody seems to be clear as to whether our events are covered if we do anything that's off school property, is really what we're concerned about. Any type of fundraiser that doesn't isn't here. So our next meeting is scheduled for March 5th. We're going to be doing it at the art studio. We're trying to have our meetings outside of the school to get parents engaged at different times on the weekends, and also engaging with the Builders Club to have the Builders Club volunteer their time to do sitting so that parents can attend our meetings and events.
We can, we'll get back to you on the writer situation, and if you want to sit down and maybe have that conversation in person with us, we can kind of take a look at that.
I think that it used to be covered under the school, if I remember the correct motion. So, yeah, if you can shoot me an email and we can talk about it.
Yeah,
And
that
try
would
to,
be great.
we can meet with our broker and make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Now it's you, Judy.
Judy Black, president of the BEA. Just no surprise here. I'm here to talk about health care. We're still waiting for a mechanism that will provide immediate payment to a provider who requires upfront payment before treatment. The agreement that was signed on 9/25/2019 said that would be established within 30 days of the execution of this agreement. I know at the last board meeting you approved, when you came back from exec session, you approved an HRA. I'm really not sure what that is that you approved. I'm really not sure how my members are supposed to access that, because we don't have anything in place to access that at this point.
You don't have cards?
No, we have no agreement as any way to access the HRA.
The cards are-
Oh.
There's an agreement hasn't been reached, so, no. So I sent you a letter asking for another meeting.
I was gonna tell you.
I'm sure you're gonna get back to
Yeah.
me. It took me a while to get back to you because I had a different recollection than what you said. I wanted to talk to Christy and Linda first to make sure that I wasn't, a little crazy, but, so I got back to you about that. Shelley got back to me about the Pocono urgent care, which would at least provide us with an urgent care, the one in Stroudsburg and one in, it's
Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg.
Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg. So at least we would be able to access that. But, we're a long way from when this was signed, 9/25, and we're still waiting for a way to do that. A really long way from the perk order of April. So I'm just not letting this die here. Just bringing it up so that we understand where we all are with it. Thank you.
I'll get back to you tomorrow, Judy, with a
Okay.
tentative meeting date. Anybody else have any public participation? No? Okay, so, I need a motion and a second to, correspondence, sorry, and superintendent's report. I jumped right ahead.
I don't have any correspondence.
No correspondence, see, that's why I skipped it. Superintendent's
I'm
report.
just going to jump up because I had the
You're gonna do your goals, right?
the long promised goals presentation. But I do have a couple things just to mention as Mr. Lee and myself get this set up. I thought the Wizard of Oz cast did an outstanding job. Mr. Carabinas couldn't be here tonight because he is with the 6th grade All-Star Band performing up at Blairstown tonight. We have 4 students, Madison Bird, Camila Quinteros, Nicholas Sanchez Espinosa, and Julia Maxwell. So there are 4 this year for the All-Star Band. I want to thank Mrs. Sorbonne and the rest of the group for getting the PTO back up and running. It's been a couple years. I know it's from your email how heavy of a lift that is, and we do appreciate you taking the time and effort to help with that. So thank you for that. Reminder that QSAC is the 10th of March, and Mr. Smith had asked me today just to talk about any guidance that we have gotten from the state in regards to coronavirus. And the only advice we've gotten from the state so far is that we've had students that have traveled to China and to make sure they don't come back until they're through quarantine. That's it so far. Now, I'm expecting shortly that we'll probably get a lot more due to the fact that it's becoming a big thing. And then, in fact, Ms. Koch sent this morning an email that EFT, who runs our trip to Europe, and we are scheduled to go to Spain. If you weren't watching the news in Spain, there was a hotel that was quarantined with coronavirus. So I'm sure they're looking at it and deciding what to do. We had that situation a few years ago when we were scheduled to go to Paris, when they had the mass shootings, and then they switched the trip. So, give me 1 second.
Hey, Chris, on the corona thing, my work got an email that we're not allowed to let anybody in the building until we interview them and find out if anybody in the party that's coming into the building has left the country within the last 30 days. So, and if, you can't come into our building at work as a visitor if you have left the country within the last 30 days. So that must have come from some official government somewhere, so maybe we can incorporate that here for the time being. I don't know how many visitors come in and out, but
Are we prepared for virtual school if they do order us to have the kids at home?
So it's a great question. We're going to be much more better prepared to that as of Friday afternoon, because I'm going to meet with the superintendent from Northern Valley Members who have put in virtual school this year. We saw a presentation down at Texpo, so he's going to give us just kind of an overview of how they instituted it, and hopefully we can get something up and running, if need be, much quicker than we're anticipating for next year, but we have to do something quickly. We can kind of based off of the time.
Yeah, I anticipate a lot more coming out in the next few days.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do I need a microphone here?
Yeah.
Thank you. So just, if you recall last month in late January, we had Dr. Zwicky from Mount Olive and Rutgers come in and do a work session with the board and just kind of went through goals. These were, as we talk about superintendent goals, usually I do 2 goals per year. Obviously, because we started this mid-year, I would say to extend these goals through the rest of this year and then into next year, just to kind of see as they do that, when my evaluation comes up, I would say it's a work in progress as we do those goals. These are the two things that I came away with. If you have any comments or want to add more to that, it's certainly appropriate, but this is at least what I saw. Can I just tap this? Okay. So the two areas were truly academic improvement and then the long-range facilities plan. And we just kind of talked a little bit about, the press box and things like that. In finance, we've been talking about facilities plans and talking a lot about, fields and things of that nature. So I think these are the two most important things. Some of these we've been already working on. And these are just some of the areas I'd like to focus on specific to academic improvement. This is no particular order. This is just how I put them together. I will send this out to the board tomorrow. As you can see, all of these blues are live links, which that didn't work. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Eric, help me out. Go backwards. Escape. Okay. So the first thing was, just to mention, was we've talked a lot about this. This was something that came out of that conversation, and then when Dr. Zwicky came a couple days later, we talked about standard-based report cards. And this is the time frame as we currently see it. You can see some of the comments by some of the folks that were part of that meeting. Again, I'm not going to go through each step of this. You can take a look at it. But our goal for next year, for September, is to start with kindergarten, first, and second grade with those standards-based report cards. Our report cards at the moment are not that far off of that, so we felt that was a good starting point, and then get some feedback. I will include with the presentation our sample that we like already with these standard-based report cards, and we think they're very important. Again, the standards are going to match or be more in line with the standards from the New Jersey SLA testing. Okay. The second is reviewing the testing data. I sent out on my weekly update this week to the board that I do have available for you, whether you'd like it in hard copy or you would like it in electronic version. Marianne, you're the only person that responded. For the Linkit testing data, it covers everything. Anything you'd ever want to compare, it's in there. It's actually, I think, in a lot of ways, almost too much information, but at least the first 10 or 15 pages of stuff that we've talked about consistently. So I can get that out there with you. Again, we talked about at that meeting forming a relationship with Linkit and to use their data, and also for number 3 to use their baseline testing. They will come in 3 times a year and just do a much smaller version of an SLA test just to see where our kids are. So September, probably somewhere around December, January, and then before they take the SLA testing. So it's a good opportunity for our teachers to see where our kids truly are. Okay? I'm not going to click on the RTI manual. I have sent that to the whole board. If you're new to the board, when you get that, click on it. Again, it's a larger document. Our response intervention process, that has been implemented beginning of this school year. And again, we've talked a lot about personalizing and differentiating instruction for our students. And this is the way that we've started that. Really taking a good look at every student multiple times a year to make sure we're hitting all of their needs as we move forward with that. At the curriculum meeting on the 11th, Mrs. Kane is going to do a presentation on the data from January. So we can kind of get a sense of that. Okay. I write the re-release of the strategic plan. We worked on a strategic plan for the better part of a year. And I sent this out to the board, and now we're just going to kind of retake a look at it. And again, from the group that we met with, and just as a review, when we started strategic planning probably almost 2 years ago now, the first thing we did was we put a survey out to the community as a whole, which was not the easiest thing to do, but we tried our best. We got quite a few responses. We broke down into different areas, academics, facilities, security, just to name a couple. And these are what we have as to where we would like to go. And that was a group made up of parents. We had a couple of students on the list. We certainly had some teachers and myself, and a couple of custodian, we had a secretary, everybody was well represented. So I'll send this out. So these are the ideas, but again, as you can see, number 1 was consistent throughout the survey, increasing student achievement and how we get there. Okay, and then number 2 is also a very big one with that social and emotional learning. Certainly I've heard a lot about that over the last couple of years, and that's certainly where we need to go. And then School security was a big issue too. How do we keep our kids safe day in, day out? Okay. We will review the schedules for the high school and the elementary school to make sure we are running the most efficient schedules, the time that works best for our students and their learning. I certainly have heard some concerns over the last year about the time that our students, especially in the elementary school, are spending with their ELA classes and their math classes, and how do we best look and how does that best serve our students. So that's something we'll be starting to take a look at shortly. I know Mr. Karabinas has a schedule committee set up for the elementary school, and they'll start to take a look at that probably within the next week or so. Okay, one of my ideas that we talked about with the administration is the idea of a checklist. I'm just going to give you a couple examples. And this actually goes along with a lot with the standards-based report card. We'd like to be able to work with parents more than we have now, and really coming up with ideas of what we feel your students need to be able to do at the end of a grade to move up. So I just pulled out 2 random ones that are both ELA. So it's basically just 10 things that we really feel that in order for your child to be successful, these are the things they need to be able to do at the end of that grade. Okay, so this was 6th grade language arts. You can kind of see number 1 is read closely to determine what the text says explicitly all the way down. And then the next one is, same idea for English 3. Again, citing, determining themes. We're going to share these with parents with the idea that if you're a parent, and sometimes when we're as teachers and as administrators, we tend to talk the talk and the jargon, and we don't always explain it well to parents. And this is an opportunity for a parent to be able to work with their children and say, okay, you're at the end of grade 11, can you do the following? You're in the end of 3rd grade math, can you do the following? And throughout the course of the year, just checking in on your students to make sure that they can do those things. So the principals have these done for all classes. So we're going to start to get this out. Mr. Karabinas is going to roll this out with his parent meeting, his next parent forum, just to get that out there so the parents can then see and kind of just get an idea. And then we'll tweak this year to year. But we're hoping that it helps to form the partnership with the parents. And the parents really have a better understanding, not of everything that their, that their students should learn, but at least the most important things according to the staff. Okay, and I do appreciate the staff taking time to do that, because I know it took time, and I do appreciate that. Okay, next up is our high school curriculum. Whoops. Okay. And we just finally finished converting our high school over to Rubicon Atlas. So all of our high school curriculum is currently online. All of our K-8 was put up earlier this year. I have to first and foremost thank Pam Geisinger for taking on the task of getting this curriculum up and running. It was certainly no easy task. We have struggled in high school for years when it came to a place to house all of our curriculum. So just to kind of give everybody a sense of how easy it is to use, excuse me, just hit the browse button and you come up with unit calendars, and then you can pick by subject. And let's take a look at the mathematics real quick. Come on. Oh, there it is, okay. So let's look at geometry for an example. At first you'll see when the mapping should be, when you should be hitting all these concepts. And if you want to see what the actual curriculum is, you would just go down and click. And then you can have everything: unit summary, connections, 21st century, unit, standards, modifications, everything is right there, evidence of learning. So this was an amazingly huge undertaking that we had to do this year to be in line with CUSAC. So I'm very, very appreciative of the staff that took the time and the effort to put this together, because it was not an easy thing. Everybody came together and did an outstanding job, and I really do appreciate that. So again, this will all be online. I'll shoot you the link to Rubicon Atlas if you want to go, and you can check each and every one of our curriculums. And then finally, putting together a curriculum writing and revision plan. Excuse me. And this is, this is a work in progress. This is going to work with the curriculum coordinators just to go through this. But you can kind of see each year, one major rewrite, one review, one revision, another review, and then a plan. So that way, every 5 years, we're completely rewriting our curriculum. Every 5 years, we're making those revisions that are necessary, whether it's state mandated or what we want to do within ourselves, and then taking 2 years to just make sure we're hitting all of it, and then that last year plan. So you know that the following year, you're going to be writing, so starting to get everything together. So that's what the curriculum plan is. Okay. And then, now I can do this. And then these are just the ideas from the long-range facilities plan. We are just about complete with our energy audit. We're waiting for the recommendations to come our way. We did see the guys from the state floating around last week to come in and check everything. They did a nice job. We need to work with our county office for the state-approved plan. This has been something that the state has been talking about, a specific plan for every school district to follow. So we're going to work with them on that. I want to take a look at what we have done. Obviously, over the last years, we haven't done anything major. And then really start talking about those improvements, the potential renovations, prioritize that, really taking a good look at grant funding, and then ultimately setting that long-range plan. So that's from the conversation that we had with Dr. Zwicky. That's 10 minutes of a 2-hour conversation, probably 2 hours plus. That's what I came away with it. I'm not sure if there was other things that want to be added. I'm open to adding, subtracting, whatever the board's flavor is. And that's pretty much the quick presentation.
Okay, good. Thanks, Chris. Anybody have any questions for Chris about that?
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
On the schedule, I know we've been in contact about Belvidere Elementary School and a committee. Could we have the same thing at the high school?
Sure.
I'm not as well versed in that, but I think there should be a committee for that.
Okay.
I think Bob Blum brought up a concern of a parent in an email, and I know we've addressed this before. I know a couple parents last year said recognizing the academic achievements. I think that should be another goal.
I'll add that. Very good.
Because it was something in an email, right? Like,
Yes.
we continuously acknowledge the sports, but we don't acknowledge the academics. And I know for like chess club last year, we didn't do that. So we really need to be advertising that,
Good
promoting
job.
that.
I agree with that.
Yep, I will add that to the list. Absolutely.
Anybody got anything else about the goals presentation?
And then when you do see it, when you have a chance to look at it a little more in depth, if you do decide to do that, just please, any suggestions like that, just certainly send them to me. A couple of good suggestions.
I always have
Good.
suggestions.
Really?
Yes, you do. And I appreciate most of them.
That was good. That was good.
Most. That was quite generous.
Do you have any other thing for your superintendent's report?
I think I covered everything I wanted to make sure I covered. Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to go to, can I have a motion and a second for agenda items on personnel 1? We have add-ons, right? 1 through 3B.
Motion.
Second? Good. Any discussion, any questions?
Just to update everybody on the, our preschool maternity leave position. We had someone, as you can see, on number 1 that we had offered the position to that turned the job down recently. On 3, number 3, approved substitute, Allison Peschel is someone we are working with to get her paperwork. She's certified in PA right now, and we're hoping that we can get everything together. She'll be in the classroom. Mr. Karabias is planning on introducing her to the parents on Friday. Allie's a graduate, if you don't know Allie. She's, in my opinion, a great kid, and I think she'll do really, really well with that class. We just have to figure out the logistics of how quickly we're going to be able to get the emergency certifications.
Okay, good. Any other questions for Chris on the agenda items? Shall roll call, right?
Mr. Blum?
Yes.
Mrs. Costantino?
Yes.
Dr. Levitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Duckworth?
Yes.
Mr. LeVar?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pell?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott? Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Steffen?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
I'm yes, but I need to abstain from approving Ally.
I wonder why.
Yeah. My son's girlfriend.
Okay, motion and a second for agenda items education 4 through 6A.
Motion.
Second, somebody?
Second.
Second, there you go. Questions or comments?
I'm confused about the, is this to replace the 6 had Carabinas, Laura Betts? This is,
In addition.
this is, these are add-ons,
Red.
even though they were on a separate piece of paper?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstained, 6, Beth Graham.
Okay, motion and second on business agenda items 7 through 12.
Motion.
Second. Questions or comments?
Just want to comment on number 7, the Cosamano family in the estate of Ronald. We fill up on donating some money to purchase vape detectors. That's something we've been trying to budget for the bathrooms. So they'll be coming in shortly, and we do appreciate that donation. And they are very high-tech and can do quite a bit in detecting any vaping that's going on in the bathroom.
How many of them were we able to get with
I
that?
believe it's 3. 3, Eric, yeah.
And how many bathrooms do we have? So how many bathrooms will not have them?
I don't know. I'd have to sit there and actually think about, but we're going to do the 3 primary ones that we think we have the most issues with, which would be this one, the boys' room upstairs,
And potentially add
and the
for all of
cafeteria.
them.
Yeah, because won't they just go to the other bathroom that doesn't have it?
If you want us to question.
I don't they're smarter than I am, so, they've already been down this road.
They'll figure it out.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good start, though.
It is a good start.
It's a good start.
Okay,
Better than nothing.
better than nothing, I agree. Any other questions or comments?
Unless we get a 3D replica of them.
There you go, we have a
and
thing to
stick
do that
them-
over there.
Yeah, we do.
3D printer.
Yeah, how about that?
And stick them in all the bathrooms.
Really good
They
idea.
won't know which
That might
ones
be
are
a good
really
idea.
I'm
working.
going to write that down.
Yeah, I like that idea. Good job, Colleen.
They do, right?
All right.
Nice, you share those things with me.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstained on 10 and 11.
Okay. All right, continuing business. Michelle, budget update?
Mrs. Pella, would you like it?
Oh, about the budget? Sure. To answer, I think it was Don's question, first, we have not talked about a tax decrease. Or I shouldn't say we haven't talked about it. We haven't gotten into it. But we've gotten into there will not be a tax increase. So that will not happen. But we will discuss that for the next finance meeting. We've had quite a few finance meetings. This is our 3rd tonight, right? I think, yeah. So I think we made a lot of progress tonight, looking at different cuts, but also cuts that will, I'm sorry?
I was just counting our meetings. I think we had 5.
We've had a lot.
We've had 5 meetings? Oh, okay. So we have discussed cuts, but primarily cuts that won't directly have an impact on the students. I don't know how much I can get into detail
Yeah,
here,
be
considering
careful.
this is my first time speaking as a finance
Yeah,
chair.
they're proposed, so they're not
So
official.
yeah, so we're looking at that, but we're also looking at some good improvements as well. And I feel like we made a lot of progress. That's basically, I think, all I can share at this point. But I will take your, I mean, as far as I go, I will take your, your thoughts into consideration.
So tonight, I did pass out the current draft to the full board, so everyone should have a copy at this point. Finance received it a little earlier, and everyone else hopefully has a copy. And at the next board meeting, on the 18th, we'll be approving the preliminary budget as it needs to go to the county by March 20th. So if the other board members have any other questions, if they want to forward them to Catherine or to myself, we can get back to you.
If you have any right now, feel free.
I'm concerned with the cuts to the teachers. Being that a strategic plan, the number 1 goal is to not impact student achievement. That's pretty tough to do, especially when the tax increase is going up 0.
How many years have we been out of flag for Belvidere?
think just last year, the year before, I believe we did a 0.5% or 1% increase. It may have been flat the year before that. It's been fairly flat for a while.
Each year we don't do that 2% or even a little bit. I mean, like, when you look at it all culminated, you're maybe at 8-10% behind what, you know, I don't know, I just see that if you don't take any, you're behind the 8 ball, so that when we don't get the monies that we need from the state, we're that much farther behind because we're trying to keep it down. And I understand, you know, what you guys are up against, but my concern is how long and how many dollars are we gonna withhold so that eventually we're not looking at, instead of 5 high schools in Warren County, 4. I mean, like, how much can we just not afford? And the elementaries don't have the enrollment to feed in. So, you know, that was a concern that I've you know, and then at the White, when I said that, you know, there might be a negative in your budget, and as you know, White is always the first one to say, well, they're not giving us enough now for what we're paying, and, you know, let's look at another school. And thankfully, Mr. Haverlish is on our board from Hackettstown. He's the business administrator there, so he tried to explain some stuff to people that do question that. But that's always a question that comes up at the sending districts, you know, like, well, maybe it's cheaper somewhere else. And it may, but it may not be the kind of education and atmosphere. I would rather my child come to a smaller school than a larger school, but I don't want to be forced to have to send her in her senior year to another district if we're not looking at that. So I agree, I don't want anybody's taxes to go up, but I think that we need to look at that.
I think we, you know, if I can speak, we took your comments into account in the finance committee, and actually I thought that, I agree with Mrs. Pell, we had a very productive meeting and probably went in a different direction than it usually has, I would say. And I actually think we took a lot of that into account, and she said it best, like, we have a great niche here. It's a great school, even though it's small and declining, and we need to really take a look at how we can best service all the kids. And so I think we came up with some good ideas that we'll be sharing shortly.
I'd like to say just one thing, it's more of a general. The cuts that were made weren't cuts to balance the budget. The cuts were made in trimming the fat in the budget to allow us to have money to expand other programs in other areas. So that's the direction the budget is taking this year. So I think the sending districts will be happy with what we're looking at in the high school.
Yeah. And as far as Tad's concerned, cutting teachers are on the last of the list. So we're looking at, you know, technology. I've suggested administrators. I've suggested a lot of different areas. So it's, you know, teachers are not on that top of that list.
And the ones that are so far we're looking at are not because we want to cut, we're cutting money to balance the budget. We're cutting it because teachers are not needed in their areas, those kind of things.
Yep.
So
that's why I think it's so important to look at the schedule to make sure that we're in compliance everywhere before we go to cut teachers.
Yeah, and I've been requesting schedules, I've been reviewing schedules. I mean, you guys can attest to that. Any type of suggestion, I want to schedule right away. I want to know, you know, so.
Yeah, so I think everybody's going to be happy with the end result.
But I do think Colleen has a point. I mean, I understand, I'm not in favor of increasing taxes. I'm trying to do what, you know, Marianne said about cuts that are necessary, but also at the same time, you know, we don't want to raise Belvidere's taxes because that will have a triple effect on the families moving into the district. And, you know, if the taxes just keep going up, you know, it's going to be a problem. We're going to have more vacant homes, and so that's going to have an effect on our enrollment, which has an effect on our tuition, which has an effect on our budget. So everything affects everything. So we're taking everything into consideration. That's why we've had so many meetings. So, and I think I've been pretty assertive in trying to discuss everything, and maybe ad nauseum, but
it's okay. That's what we're there for.
So.
Anything else? You have anything else about the budget or anything?
No.
Shall you got anything you want to add about that?
No, sounds good.
Okay, I have a few of I found my list.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Yep.
So, to jump on with Donnie, the first one on is a student rep to town council.
We have been turning over every stone. We have not gotten a student to volunteer to take on that prestigious position. But we won't stop.
All right, keep
So
going.
exciting.
Joe, I keep telling. I've actually said you'll take them out to dinner afterwards, and they still don't want to jump on. I
At
don't
least
know.
if they're beer, the VFW.
Okay, the Board of Ed rep to go into the town council meetings. Where are we at with that list?
I have a list. There are only 1 or 2 people signed up for it, so there's still some.
Guys, come on.
I signed up for the June meeting.
March, yeah. March, June.
Let's go. I can't from March and April. I will after the school year is over for my son. I've been to many, trust me.
That's why we.
Okay, anybody that can please sign up, please do so. We really need representation there. Next board.
And I can, I'm waiting for my son's sports schedule, but I can do additional ones if, like I know I signed up for one that I can definitively do, but I'm willing to go to more. I'm just waiting for my son's sports schedule.
I know, that's why I have a dilemma with
And I'm missing one
college.
tonight, so.
We both are.
We both are, so this is tough.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the high school signboard again. Yes, it has been changed a little bit. Would it be possible for me to take a videotape of P-Bergs and show it to what I think we should do? I mean, the sporting
Absolutely.
events are there, town events are there. Everything you'd want to know about what's going on in P-Berg is on that signboard.
Okay.
And we have 2 events on ours. So I'm gonna drive this one till the bus is done.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's good. So you had a weight room update. I know you sent Doc a thing, but you might want to.
Yeah, so Mr. Bartow met with, I always forget the gentleman's name from St. Luke's, Mr. Reedy, I believe, to discuss the weight room, and he basically said he asked Mr. Bartow to somewhat put together a quote-unquote wish list, and they would try to accommodate, not the whole wish list, but some of it. So Mr. Bartow is going to sit with the coaches as a whole, ask them what they'd like to see in there.
Okay.
So that's the process. So we did get I'll say a fairly positive response from St.
Good.
Luke's.
Okay, the only other one I have is we did discuss it, but we need to keep going with the bringing school boards in.
Oh, yeah, in fact, I was going back and forth with Kathy just today. Oddly, Wednesday seemed to be an issue for her, so she's more in line with Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I wanted to, actually, Garland brought that up. I want to ask, does anybody have, I know sometimes certain nights are absolutely, tough to get to, but is there a better night, a Tuesday and a Thursday? And if it's, you want to wait to see sports schedules, I'm okay with that too. We're looking at probably early April at this point too, the way her calendar is. But she did specifically said she prefers Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I'm okay with so I just need 2 weeks' notice, and I think
2 weeks.
everybody would appreciate a little bit of notice to set their schedules, yeah.
Okay. I'll send out some of the April dates for Tuesdays and Thursdays, and if you know, the sooner we can get her booked, the better. But she's very willing to come out. It's just, I don't know why, maybe she has something on Wednesday nights for her own self, but.
Okay.
But Wednesday nights didn't seem to work.
All right, that's all I had on my list.
Okay.
All right, new business. Any new
I have
business?
something under continuing.
Okay, sorry.
Freshman sports, I know that we were talking about 2 to 3 months prior to the sport, we would find out, what our numbers are. So predominantly, we were talking about next year, but what do we have for this spring? I know baseball and softball are going to start. Is there a freshman sports?
They're just for softball.
So
We
the
do not have-
numbers for baseball didn't
We
support
do,
it this
no,
year?
did not.
What? I can email Mr. Bartow. if I
You can
don't-
email Mr. Barton to that for sure.
How short were we on baseball? Do we know?
It's not just necessarily how many freshmen we have, but how many we have total throughout the program.
Mm-hmm.
And putting 3 teams together, you'd be running up against at times barely putting 9 out there, and if the JVs played, it would be trying to move kids up, so more compact. Where with the girls, with the softball, I think the number was somewhere around 21, just freshmen that were playing softball, so very much easier to field the team and not run into those problems. So any freshman baseball player would likely be playing JV. Or varsity if they're that good, I suppose, but wouldn't be cut. So, and then track, everybody's on track, and golf, everybody's on golf.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right, anybody else have anything under continuing business? No? Okay, now we'll go to new business, sorry. Any new business? No? All right. Public participation, anybody got anything?
Sorry. So I also second the signboard. I don't get to drive by much, but it always just has the temperature on it, so
Thank you.
that would be awesome. And then I also just wanted to talk really quickly about your comments on the coronavirus. So if you guys do come up with a plan, if you could communicate that to the
100%.
parents. I mean, my work has already had someone who's working from home in quarantine, but if you guys have a plan, I could at least give that to my boss, and as parents, we could plan on how we're gonna be home for the whatever duration it could be. So it would be really appreciated.
I would suspect we'll hear from the state very soon on this one.
Yeah, and
Very
any
soon.
kind of travel restrictions, if you let us parents know, then we can make sure we can
Okay.
let everybody know.
Very
So
good.
thank you.
Well, for sure, we know if you go to China, we can't let you in until you're cleared.
Well, I'm guessing it's gonna be China, France, Italy, right?
gonna be-
It's everywhere.
Yeah, well,
It's
it's out of the
everywhere
country
now.
right now.
As of right
And
now,
it's
it's only
spreading
China.
everywhere now. They're gonna wait till it
But
gets
if
worse
you
before they
want to
quarantine
send
and do
us
something.
the communication from the PTO or whatever we
Okay.
can do to help, let me know.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Unfortunately, they're gonna wait till it gets worse and
Yeah, I
spreads
would
more
agree with
before.
that. I would have expected
No,
some
you
sort of
can't talk.
guidance by now.
I know. Hi, Angela Exley. I have like 4 things I need to ask about now. Is the track coach getting paid yet?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Okay, and then we had an Eagle Scout that built a shed for football, and he had additional funds, and he's been trying to give it to the school, but no one will take his money. So,
He didn't come to me because I would absolutely take his money.
but like, he's been emailing the football coach and the
Okay.
athletic director, and his mother's gotten involved, so she just wants to know how to do that. So just email you directly?
Correct.
Okay, and then we heard at our Booster Club meeting the other night that there was someone that was gonna build a snack shack. Is that not a thing? Is that true,
I
not
see
true?
Mrs. Koch's head's popping up.
We were trying to build one for quite a while. We have all the money to put it up, but we don't have the money for the foundation. And we got a quote for the foundation, but there's a lot more to it.
Okay.
We have the funds to do it.
Because we,
And-
didn't
and
someone
that
tell us
included-
it was
an
like
Eagle
an
project.
Eagle project, someone was gonna do it for their Eagle project?
I think we're talking about different things.
Yeah. Still has to go through all the proper channels.
Oh,
That was what was proposed.
okay. Okay, and then the other thing is totally about something that you presented in your strategic goal about RTI. How often does the RTI get implemented? Like, I know what we do, and I know what's happening here from a parent's perspective are 2 totally different things.
Right, so and again, now, so take out last year, go starting from fresh this year, because that's
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, no, I am.
Yep. Ideally, every day, okay? Practically, for sure, when we do the 3 times a year, the implementation should all be implemented within a week from that meeting. Now, the goal is that by we get to 3-5 years down the road, that it is almost an immediate thing. So that way, if we know a student's struggling in something, the old way, and you and I have had this conversation.
Ad nauseum.
I didn't say it, you did. It took a lot of time, sometimes as much as 3 months, if at all. Okay. Now the idea is that when we get through the process, that if one of the teachers recognizes that a student, Chris Carew was having a hard time with phonics, instead of waiting to go to the committee, and then the committee to meet, and then the committee to implement the changes, and then right there, it should be, here's what I did, here's what's worked in the past, work with the teachers that have already worked with the kids, and it should be almost immediate. That piece is gonna take time now. So it's probably, there's a little bit of lag time this year, but we're hoping to, as we move through it, make it a quicker process.
So there's no, like, our school runs reports every other week, and if anyone has an F, they automatically get an RTI. Like,
We're not-
I think that's excessive, like, it's a pain in my butt, because
Right.
like, maybe they just have a 0 because they
Right.
were absent.
Yeah.
But like, is there any kind of thing like that, or it has to be teacher initiated?
It doesn't have to be teacher initiated, it can be parent initiated too, or student, anybody can initiate it. We're not there yet, but that is a goal.
So what do we do with the failing student now, like today, right, tomorrow? What do I do?
You as a parent, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you should, first of all, reach out to the teacher, obviously, and if you're not getting the response, then reach out to the administrator, and then if you're not getting the response, you and I will have our normal conversation, but if you're reaching out to the teacher and then to the administrator, it should be an extremely quick turnaround. And if it's
Okay.
not, I'd like to know that,
Okay.
It should be 24 hours.
so.
Really?
Yeah,
Come on.
24 to 48 hours.
Not implementation, response.
Response.
Right, implementation, but if we recognize the student is failing, hopefully we can get something within 2 or 3 days to help the student. It's really the
Right.
goal of the whole process.
Are you not receiving a response?
I just,
Oh, okay.
there's,
She's asking in theoretical. terms.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
To be prepared.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No? Okay, motion and second to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Done.